Good morning and welcome to this year's annual review film. Behind me you can see the construction of Cuernan Valley Park's green-built visitor centre, which will be opened at Easter 2016. The project has been part funded by Lancashire Environmental Fund. For this year's short film we have selected a diverse range of projects to give you a flavour of what the fund supports right across the county with Landfill Communities Fund money, and the difference it is making to enhance community life and improve the environment. Early this year, the fund staff had an away afternoon enjoying one of the famous bluebell teas at Caldervale Village Hall, one of our funded projects. Back in 2010, we funded the much needed renovation work inside the hall, upgrading the toilets and insulating the building to make it more energy efficient. We picked the busiest weekend of the bluebell tea season, and with the Village Hall Committee busily engaged serving tea and cakes to thirsty walkers, it falls to me to tell you a bit about the project. An aspiration was always to improve the outside space, to provide extra seating to accommodate more people. Alongside funding the external works, funds were provided for a demountable stage, multimedia projector and some variable lighting to enhance the staging of such things as the Lancashire Spot On rural touring events and community film nights.
Hi, my name's Andrew Walmsley and I'm the Chief Executive here at Haslingden Community Link and Children's Centre. We're a community centre, a nursery and a children's centre based in Worsley Ward in the Rossendale Valley, which is one of the two most deprived wards in Rossendale. We were fortunate enough to secure funding through the Lancashire Environmental Fund to help us to improve our centre further. The work itself was carried out over a 7-week period during summer 2014. We are an old Victorian school, some parts of which are 150 years old, so it was quite difficult in trying to create access to the outdoors through the existing walls and indeed take down walls between the various classrooms within the centre. The centre itself is here to support the community. We support the community from -9 months to old age, where we're seeing pregnant ladies and we're giving the health messages surrounding smoking cessation, healthy eating, etc. What we often see is grandparents or parents collecting children from nursery and coming through into the centre to enjoy lunch within our cafe. We offer good value, good quality, healthy meals, which again we see as a valid part of our service to the community. Through the help of the project, we managed to create additional access to outdoors through both of our nursery rooms, and we were fortunate enough to also get the canopies, which in the Rossendale Valley we have unfortunately quite a lot of rain, so to be able to use some outdoor space that's under cover, which gives us additional storage for the equipment for the children, has done very well for the children that access our centre. We also look at other opportunities surrounding exercise. For example, we have currently a yoga session running, which is accessed by the BME ladies within our community.
my name's David Reed, I'm from West End in Oswestwhistle, and basically the whole campaign started around 2011, around June, on a cold summer's night actually. I was up on the park with my brother, my sister and my dad, and we noticed that the park was basically falling to pieces. We had sharp edges, litter all over the place. It was just an absolute disgrace. So, following my dad's advice, I wrote a letter to the local council, and that's basically where everything kicked off. So, first of all, I attended quite a few meetings with lots of presentations, trying to get the local area involved, and so that continued for a while until the Flora competition came up, and that was a competition where we would win £30,000 for the park. Unfortunately we came second, but we had thousands and thousands of votes from the local community, and it basically, from there on, we had the local community involved, and we raised money, we was in fairs, we did sponsored walks, lots of things got involved, and basically the funding all came together with the help of New Ground, and many local funding all came together, and basically we managed to create this play area today, which is now heavily used and is much better for the local community.
Good morning and welcome to Gorse Hill Nature Reserve. I'm Jonathan Atkins, I'm the Reserve Manager, and what we're looking at today is the Great Crested Newt Pond project. We're at what we call Selden Pond, which is a pond that we have developed over the past 20 years. It's a really good habitat for great crested newts. So here we go, and this is what the project is all about. Here is a great crested newt, and he's making a bid for freedom because he doesn't really want to be in this tray. He wants to be back with his mates in the pond because this is the height of the breeding season. So we have this very good great crested newt population, and the whole point of this project was to provide more habitat so that the population here will spread further across the reserve. So we're really pleased that Lancashire Environmental Fund helped support us with a grant of £21,000, I think it was, and we've been able to put in 6 more ponds. What we're going to do next is we're going to take you and show you a few of the new ponds, which will hopefully look a bit like this in a few years' time. So here we are at one of the new ponds that Lancashire Environmental Fund has funded. This is one of the 6 new ponds, and it's being filled with water that's come off the barn roof. So we're hopeful that within a year or two we'll have great crested newts coming from Selden Pond, which is just up there, and they'll make their way down the hedge lines and start inhabiting the pond.
Good afternoon and welcome to Keppel Lane Park in Garstang. My name is Gordon Harter and I'm one of the trustees. The site was formerly the refuse tip for Garstang, and although it has been closed for 50 years, there's been very little activity on the site during that period. Some 20 years ago, a small children's play area was installed together with a set of goalposts. However, over the period, the area has become renowned for antisocial behaviour, underage drinking and drug usage, which has caused many problems for the local police. Some 5 years ago, myself and a fellow councillor, Philip Sutcliffe, approached the town council who owned the land with a view to getting their support to create a park, if at all possible, if we could raise the funds. For the following 3 or 4 years, we worked with Community Futures with a view to establishing the constitution and also the enabled us to become a registered charity. In 2012 we raised sufficient funds to complete stage 1 with considerable help from the Lancashire Environmental Fund, who supported us to the tune of £30,000. This allowed us to install a sensory garden and play equipment for the older children, together with a youth shelter and a basketball end, and finally an open air stage. This was completed in 2012, and then we moved on to completing phase 2, which would take us to completion. This commenced in 2014 and was completed towards the end of last year. It consisted of another garden area on the park, together with a play area for the younger children who we had not catered for at that stage. And the interesting part of the installation was for a trim trail together with 7 pieces of outdoor gym equipment. This might seem a little bit strange, but we did consult with the public in Garstang, the local YMCA, fitness instructor, the medical centre and the local residents, all of whom felt that they could benefit from having this equipment on the park.
Hello, I'm Hilda Lowe and I'm part of the Community Association. 3 years ago I was looking for an allotment and found we're just huge lists, waiting lists. So I approached the Community Association and said, could I use part of the meadows, which they agreed to. So we got the meadow, the allotments going, but on visiting my allotment, you know, a lot of times a week, I was just struck with the beauty of the place and the variety of butterflies, the wildflowers. You had buzzards overhead, you had a male pheasant walking through. Mind you, he was stealing the cabbages. And I just thought, well, this is a shame, there's only a handful that's enjoying this place. And of course it used to be a landfill, so it wasn't, you know, a very nice place back before the 80s. But nature's reclaimed it. So I wanted other people to be able to enjoy it like I did. So that led me to apply for funds to get the paths done. We weren't hopeful, but finally we got the call from Andy Rowett and he said, you've been successful. We were over the moon about it because, you know, at last we were going to get some path work done. So that's what's happened. And last year, the contractor's done the path work. We gave it publicity and people are using this place and enjoying it and talking about it. And we got donations for benches as well, so we've got 2 benches and this picnic table. And then we also had help from, which was part of the funding, from Ben Hargreaves, who was from Plan B. So he's been our flora and fauna expert.
Hello, my name's Paul Greenwood and I'm here tonight at Ashton Park with Preston Environmental Forum. We use this site regularly for meetings with Preston Environmental Forum, and over the next few months into next year we'll be developing what was one of the bowling greens into a community garden. Preston Environmental Forum is a local charity. It's made up of community members and its purpose is to help to try to support and develop community environmental activities in Preston. What we want to try to achieve with this site is to build a sort of community hub for Preston for environmental projects, a site that can be used to help support and develop community activities. At this site, as I said, it's the base of Preston Environmental Forum. We hold regular monthly meetings here, but we don't just do a meeting where we sit down and talk about stuff. We also try to do some volunteer activities, and tonight we are got volunteers here working on what's called the Peace Garden over in the corner. That garden is planted quite a long time ago, but it has come overgrown with various different things, particularly mint. It's very full of mint at the moment. So our plan is to regularly cut and chop away at it to pull it back to what it is. But over the time, as we develop this project, there will be a lot more volunteer activities to do, and that's the benefit really that we're going to get from this LEF project and this LEF funding. We've got around the region of £30,000 to develop this community garden. It's cast to have an aesthetic. It needs to look nice because we're in a heritage site. At the end of the day, this site used to be the cottage garden of what was Ashton House behind us. So it does need to have an aesthetic quality to it, but we want to use it to provide those sorts of training and learning activities for local people, and the funding is going to make a big difference for us to be able to achieve that. So as you see, when you're looking around, you'll see that it is a really nice site. It's a nice evening. Thankfully, we've got a bit of sun tonight, and volunteers are working hard on doing some gardening. And it's a big site, and hopefully when we get it up and running, people will like to come down and have a look at it and get involved in some activities.
Hi, my name's Julie Norman. I'm the Park Ranger and Forest School practitioner here at Parkview for You. So we approached Lancashire Environmental Fund as we wanted to have an eco community centre and education centre on the park, as there was a huge demand for people to come and use this kind of facility. They jumped on board instantly and gave us our initial funding for the building, which meant that we could approach other funders, and it snowballed from there on in, and we managed to get enough money to build this fantastic eco-pod. We didn't just want a community centre, we wanted it to have some environmental features. So the building that we've eventually ended up with has got solar panels on the roof, rainwater harvesting toilets, the walls are filled with recycled FSC wood chip, the floors recycled plastic bottles as the insulation. So it has lots of environmental features. It's a very warm building, and it's a bit like an open air classroom because the whole door just opens up and you can get outside and straight onto the park. The building's used by lots of groups. We had a session in here today where we've been making herbal teas. We did herb walks and Junior Herbalist Club here yesterday. We've also had ballet dancing and dancing for tots and toddlers. I've compiled a book with some of the photographs of the forest school and environmental education that we've done here on the park. It's full of lots of images to give people ideas of the environmental art, storytelling, shelter building, nest building and mini beast activities that we can do here. Our Wildlife Watch group regularly use it, and we're in here the other day making bird boxes and bug boxes from the leftover cedar offcuts from the building in order to make a wildlife habitat at the back of the eco-pod.
What we're looking at today is the Great Crested Newt Pond project. We're at what we call Selden Pond, which is a pond that we have developed over the past 20 years. It's a really good habitat for great crested newts, and in here we have we had a great
Just
crested
jumped out.
goose, which has just
I
jumped
should
out.
caught it on camera, I think.
Come on, you. Right, okay. So in this pond over